Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Especially welcome to anyone who is new here and to the folks who are joining us on streaming. To the hardy ones who made it through the ice and snow. So we'll do our regular schedule today, and from looking around, I think you know what that is. We sit together, practicing Shine, learning about the nature of mind. We'll have a short break for tea. And for those who can stay, and you're all encouraged to stay, we'll have some Dharma discussion together, trying to deepen our understanding of how to bring all these amazing teachings into our lives. So take a moment, if you haven't already, to think about your own motivation, your own intention for being here, for practicing this path. Just check in with yourself. Why do you do this? And again, if you haven't already done this, whatever motivation you've brought, maybe for the end of your own suffering, the end of suffering of others, total liberation. Work with the mind and the heart to see if you can expand that to include strangers who built the roads you came on, who have fed you since you've been born, providing you with clothing, medicine, and then expand to those we consider difficult people, or even label them enemies, who hold a very clear mirror up to us, showing us where we still are stuck, where we still get angry, where we still get frightened, where we still have hate. And see if you can imagine including them today, being here, so they too will be free of suffering, and they too will find perfect peace. I thought this morning it would be good to deepen our contemplation on refuge and bodhicitta before we say our prayer. Sometimes when we say a profound prayer over and over, it's hard to, we kind of go on automatic. It's a habit we have about many things in life. And then it takes the power away. So one of the, a prayer that I have with contemplations about refuge coming from one of my root teachers, Venerable Tibetan Children, often helps me when I read this to think and experience refuge in a deeper way. So before we do our traditional prayer, I thought I would read some of these thoughts that she has written. Spiritual mentors, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas who abide throughout infinite space, please pay attention to me. From beginningless time until the present, in my attempt to find happiness, I have been taking refuge. But the things I have relied upon have not been able to bring the lasting state of peace and joy that I seek. Until now, I have taken refuge in material possessions, money, status, reputation, approval, praise, food, sex, music, and a myriad of other things. Although these things have given me some temporal pleasure, they lack the ability to bring me lasting happiness, because they themselves are transient and do not last long. My attachment to these things has, in fact, made me more dissatisfied, anxious, confused, frustrated, and fearful. Seeing the faults of expecting more from these things than they can possibly give me, I now turn for refuge to reliable sources that will never disappoint me, the Buddhas, the Dharma, the Sangha. I take refuge in the Buddhas as the ones who have done what in the depth of my heart I aspired to do, purified their minds of all defilements, and brought to fulfillment all their positive qualities. I take refuge in the Dharma, the cessation of all undesirable experiences and their causes, and the path leading to that state of peace. I take refuge in the Sangha, those who have directly realized reality and wish to help me do the same. I take refuge not only in these outer three jewels, the beings who are Buddhas or Sangha and Dharma in their mind streams, but I also take refuge in the inner three jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha that I will become in the future, because I have the Buddha potential within me at this very moment. And I will always have this potential as an inseparable part of my mind. The outer three jewels will act as the cause for me to be transformed into the resultant inner three jewels. Now this prayer, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but up to this point has a lot of I and me and mine in it, which is where we start. We're captured by that illusion. But the next part of the prayer we say here each time we gather is the bodhicitta, the awakened mind. In the Mahayana path, that bodhicitta requires, and not requires, it is the mind that understands the complete deep interdependence, so there is no separate I, and there is no way to simply liberate this I without liberating all beings. So we put that right up front in the Great Wheel, that our purpose is to become enlightened in order to liberate all beings. There's no other reason to do it. So now together, let's say our refuge and bodhicitta prayer.
Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness.
When we engage in calm abiding, the instructions are pretty simple. Relax, calm down, rest in the natural state that's present. Simply be aware of the myriad thoughts that rise, sensations in the body. One key seems to be simply to be aware of what grabs you, where you get stuck. Or be aware that you're not stuck at all. So it's very important to know there's not really anything to do right now. However you do this will be fine. There's nothing to fix. If you have a thought that this is not the right way to do this, just notice that thought, let it go. Or a thought that you're doing this perfectly, just another thought, let it pass by. The only thing to notice is when we get caught and spin around on a memory or a so-called problem that we're trying to fix, or a future that isn't here and we can't really predict. Just noticing that being caught, and the moment you notice you're not caught anymore, and then just notice that. So for us beginners, it's helpful to have an object, which is usually the breath. But most people here have been doing this a long time, so whatever object you are going to use, or you're going to do Shine with no object, that's all good. Just be clear. And now we'll just sit together in this beautiful moment with these amazing conditions and support one another doing this calm abiding. And a stretch if you need.
By this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state.
Thank you, everybody. Wow, we have a lot of things going on. The big one being the move, slowly and surely over to our center, our new center at Skidmore. So I just want to thank, there's a lot of volunteers already pitching in, looking at how do we move things from here slowly, gradually, 30 years of accumulation or whatever it is. I don't know if it's 30 years. Yeah. So attic, basement, cupboards that who knows what's there. So all of that effort is happening, and simultaneously efforts over at the new center, shoring up the things that need to be shored up and all of that. So there's a need for both skilled people and people who have the skills of cleaning and helping in every which way. So there's a table out there, and on one corner of it is a sign-up sheet for volunteers to help with all kinds of stuff. And then the big news today is neon. So we have this incredible technology team, and they spent the last 18 months looking at software that will do many, many things that have been sorely needed here to support our practice, support the board, support donations, support registration, support every single thing that has to do with membership. So thanks to that team. And now we're going to have a chance to learn what neon is. And so there will be learning sessions, and that table over there, there's dates, and you can sign up for a learning session. I'm not going to go into the details of what you'll learn, but pretty much we all need to get somewhat familiar at whatever level we are with this program, so that you'll be able to get and understand your user ID, password. You'll get a little tour of neon. So these learning sessions will be 30 to 60 minutes, and they're going to be scheduled around events like the Sunday morning, right after, or mind training right before. So you'll just come a little bit early or stay later. Margaret Jansen right here will answer any and all questions. And tomorrow, I guess we're getting this So we can't tell you much about it, but the teachers will
After
get...
tomorrow, we'll be experts.
After tomorrow, you can ask us anything. Well, maybe Bill, but not so fast. Yeah, you can ask.
Maybe ask Margaret first.
No harm in asking. Will there be answers? We don't know. But we'll get this teaching tomorrow. So that's it, I think, unless there's more from Margaret.
There is a session today after we meet at 11:30, so if you would like to stay, I'll just be offering a short tour just so you can see what it looks like. And I'll open up my account so you can see what you can do in Neon. You're welcome to stay for that.
Okay. Questions? Other announcements? Yeah, Linda.
Don't dig into the sugar bowl because it's salt. People are going to be out there before I will.
Oh, I love it. This is part of the cleaning out of cupboards here and finding little jars of white things and saying, oh, let's just use this little bit up. Oh, well. Expect the unexpected in samsara and you won't suffer. Okay, great. Tea time. Wonderful. Yeah, just yesterday, wasn't it?
Sure.